Good day, people. Welcome to Behind Two Pallets. Today is the final episode of our Survivor Perk Review. I know I'm excited.
That's right, Rupture. 23 perks left to go. Hey, Rupture, how's my mosquito bite looking? Is it any better?
Bill, that was no mosquito. Do you still not realize you're a zombie?
Oh, yeah! My brain doesn't retain much these days.
You can say that again.
Oh, yeah, my brain doesn't retain.
Bill, stop it. Let's get the show on the road.
Where are we going?
Last week, we went through 24 perks. If you missed last week or the other two episodes,
check the description for the links. We have covered 72 perks leading up to today.
Let's take a look at last week's board.
We only had one S tier perk last week and a lot of E tier.
Let's see what we have in store for this week. Our first perk of the day, we have Self-Preservation.
Self-Preservation is like Lucky Break and Iron Will. However, it only activates if the killer hits one of your teammates while you are near them.
Within 16 meters to be exact.
While active, you stop bleeding and leave no scratch marks or grunts of pain for 10 seconds.
Unlike Lucky Break, there is no limit to how much you can use this perk.
True, but being within 16 meters of a survivor that is being hit while you are already injured puts you in far more danger than needed. This perk would be much more valuable if the effect lasted for more than 10 seconds.
Yeah, 10 seconds doesn't seem like a lot of time.
This perk pairs well with perks like Lithe and Quick and Quiet, perks that help you move fast and quietly. I still think this is an E tier perk.
This perk could save your bacon in some games, but it's not worth the perk slot. The first perk of the day is E tier.
Slippery Meat is on deck. How fitting that it's your perk, Rup.
Why?
I mean, you've got to be the expert on the subject.
Wow, Bill, what little mind you have left is still in the gutter. Slippery Meat is a perk that only has use one time in the game. That is when you're on your first hook. You get an additional 3 attempts at unhooking yourself.
So instead of 3 attempts, you get 6 attempts.
Yes, and your chance of unhooking is increased by an additional 4%. Instead of 4, you have an 8% chance. On its own, this perk gives you an overall chance of 39.4% over all 6 attempts.
What if you use luck perks and offerings?
Well, on its own, this perk is E tier, stats don't lie. If you gamble, it may come in clutch. If you must run this perk, get your whole team to offer up Vigo's Salty Lips. If you can also get everyone to run up the ante as well, you can increase the odds to 99.3%.
If you're solo, you can increase the odds to 20% per attempt, which comes out to 73.8%.
A full Swift running Slippery Meat and Up the Ante and Vigo's Salty Lips is the way to go. It's as if everyone has Deliverance without the downsides, no requirements to activate, and not being broken after unhooking.
E-tier perk, but is very viable when used with a full group of perks we mentioned.
Small Game is up. Tell us about it, Bill.
Small Game is a totem perk. It gives you a notification when you look within 45 degrees of a totem. The totem must be within 12 meters. The notification has a 10-second cooldown. When you cleanse a totem, the detection angle decreases by 5% to a minimum of 20 degrees.
Sounds like a great perk given the current killer meta and increasing number of survivor perks that require cleansing a totem or blessing a totem.
Right, with the new boon perks, finding a totem and blessing it can be sped up by using this perk. This perk is great for new players or for new maps.
But there are lots of better totem perks like Detective's Hunch or Counterforce. Totems are pretty easy to find, at least the first one.
This is still a solid perk. We'll give it the nod at C tier given the current killer meta of Hex, Ruin, and Dying.
Let's get it up there, our first perk that isn't E tier.
Smash Hit is a newer perk. Is it any good?
No, not really. Smash Hit is an exhaustion perk that isn't worth exhaustion. It gives you a 4-second sprint burst if you stun the killer with the pallet.
Well, there is about one situation where this would come in really handy.
Yes, when the killer is running Spirit, Fury, and Enduring, yet not good enough to warrant taking it over other exhaustion perks. A lot of the times, killer will respect pallets to avoid the stuns. I place this perk at E tier. It's trash. If you do take it, you may want teammates running any means necessary, so if the killer leaves the pallet to continue chase, your team can reset the pallet.
I couldn't agree more. Let's get it up there. Another E tier perk.
Soul Survivor, just by the name of this, sounds bad. Don't you want to survive as a team?
You should. Soul Survivor is an anti-aura perk. Every time a teammate dies, you gain 24-meter radius at which the killer cannot read your aura, up to 72 meters. It also increases the odds of you being the obsession.
So if the killer has barbecue and one survivor's dead, if you are within 64 meters, they will not see your aura. Same goes for Nurse's Calling. The killer would need to be within 4 meters to see your aura.
This is truly a terrible perk, and you'll likely see only people using it if they're doing Adept Lori. Yet another E-tier perk.
So many E-tier perks.
Solidarity is on deck.
Solidarity is a healing perk. If you are injured and heal another survivor from injured to healthy on your own, you will also heal yourself for 50%. So that survivor will only have to heal the other half.
Interesting.
It does seem like a good perk. It isn't that good. If you do run it, consider using Desperate Measures and Resurgence. If an injured survivor unhooks you, and you can heal them and yourself at the same time. I still rate this a D-tier perk.
I agree. There are better perks or medkits related to healing. The value from this perk is too hard to get use from. You can get guaranteed value from a perk like Resurgence. To the board.
Soul Guard is up.
Soul Guard is a perk that gives you an endurance status effect every time you are picked up off the ground. The effect is exactly like Borrowed Time, but only lasts for 8 seconds.
So you likely want teammates running We're Going to Live Forever, I'd imagine.
Yes, that, and you also want to use Unbreakable with Soul Guard as well. If the killer has a Hex Totem and you have the Curse status, you can pick yourself up off the ground, similar to No Mither and Unbreakable.
Soul Guard has a cooldown of 30 seconds.
Soul Guard requires a team to be around to try to distract the killer while you are on the ground, giving you time to get up. I rate this a D-tier perk on its own, but in the Swift with the right perks with it, you could get some good value from it.
It can be fun and is far more valuable if you have communication with your teammates.
We got a nasty perk up next.
Spine Chill, you mean? If there is one perk in this game that is overpowered, it has to be Spine Chill. If you're having a tough time in DBD, just equip this perk and watch all your troubles melt away.
Strongest perk in the game with the joke for a downside, extra skill checks.
That's right, Spine Chill lights up to let you know the killer is looking in your direction whenever the killer is within 36 meters. This counters killers with smaller or no tear radius and gives you time to start running to a safe area. Your only penalty is 10% extra skill checks. However, you get a buff of 6% extra speed to everything else you're doing.
Including vaulting. Run this perk with Resilience to have Vault build, where you'll vault 15% faster if you were injured.
You can't argue this perk is S tier. It is so strong and counters so many killers that you'll see this perk run quite often. It's definitely a meta perk.
Use this perk wisely. Some killers will not bother chasing you if you constantly run to a safe zone of the map with no gens. You could be causing the killer to proxy your camp and tunnel by using this perk in this way. Instead, make sure to get in chase and use this faster vault speed of it.
This perk is good on its own, but again, DBD is choose your own difficulty. If you want a challenge, drop the meta perks and try some fun builds.
Spine Chill on the board at S tier.
Up next, another exhaustion perk.
Sprint Burst is an exhaustion perk, which means once you use it, you're exhausted for 40 seconds. No other exhaustion perks can be used during that time. This perk gives you a 3-second speed boost where you'll run at 150% speed.
Sounds nifty.
It's a solid perk, but you have to spend time walking around if you plan on using the perk while in chase. Alternatively, you can use it to move faster around the map if you are not in chase and hope the killer doesn't chase you until you are recovered from the exhaustion status.
I hear people like to 99 their sprint burst. Explain that.
Yes, when you are about to recover from the exhaustion status, you can keep running around and prevent the last bit from recovering. You want to get chased at this point. Then at some point during the chase, you want to stop for just a split second to recover the rest of the exhaustion. Then you can sprint away.
It works best to use at a loop and recover just as the killer is trying to hit you.
This perk goes well with Vigil, Spine Chill, Fixated, among others. On its own, I rate this perk an A tier. It's easy to get value from. A solid perk for beginners to learn the mechanics of exhaustion.
I hate running Sprint Burst.
I can't run Sprint Burst, not with my bad hips.
Sprint Burst on the board at A tier.
Stakeout is our next perk.
Stakeout is a skill check perk. You must be in the killer's terror radius to gain tokens. You can gain up to 4 tokens. Once you have tokens, anytime you hit a good skill check, a token is consumed. The skill check is then considered a great skill check, and you also gain a 1% progression.
So a great skill check on a gen gives you 1% bonus. With this perk and a token, it turns it into 2%.
Right, but if you hit a great skill check, a token is not consumed, and you don't get the extra 1% bonus.
Doesn't seem like a good perk.
Really isn't. Some killers counter this perk pretty well since you can't be in chase to gain tokens.
The Scratchmere Myers or Wraith or Freddy could be harder to gain tokens on.
Correct, and when you do get tokens, you'll get minimal value from the perk over the course of a given game. Not enough value to justify using a perk slot. I rate this a D tier perk. They'll help you finish gens faster, and you'll get value most games, just isn't enough.
Stakeout on the board, D tier.
Streetwise is our next perk.
Streetwise is a perk that helps conserve your items. It lowers the depletion rate of your item by 25%. This perk also affects other teammates within 8 meters of yourself, and the effect lingers for 15 seconds after leaving the area. An item depletes at 1 charge per second. This perk makes it deplete at 0.75 charges per second.
Also note this perk does stack with other survivors using it, so if you and your teammate are running it and are near each other, the depletion rate is even slower.
That is true. Items in DBD are very strong. To get the most benefit, you want items with lots of charges. Medkits are the strongest item in the game. Consider running this perk when using a Ranger medkit with the charge add-ons. This perk would pair well with Built to Last and Botany Knowledge. This perk on its own is a D tier perk.
I agree. Take a medkit in Botany and then you'll get a lot of value. Arguably this perk is a higher tier with that combination. Let's get it on the board. Technician, a perk that Bill should run every game so chat can't blame him for missing skill checks.
You're still not funny. Technician is a skill check perk. If you fail a skill check, this perk prevents the generator from exploding. You still get the minus 10% penalty for a missed skill check, but you also get an additional 3% penalty for a total of 13%, which on a solo gen means you added another 13 seconds to repair time, plus 3 seconds where the progression is paused.
One other small thing, it reduces the repair sound you make by 8 meters, meaning the killer would have to get pretty close to hear your repairing.
This perk is garbage. You're better off just not going for great skill checks if you're bad at them.
Like you?
You're cruising for a bruising. Technician is an E tier perk.
Let's get this trash out of here. We are halfway done. Time for a break to look at our play of the week.
Anything good this week?
Oh yes, we have a classic flashbang save and some great deception and head-on plays.
Oh, nifty.
Let's do it. First up, the flashbang.
Oh, that looked too far away, but it was perfect.
Okay, we're even now. He outplayed me once, I outplayed him once. Now let's check out some deceptions and head-ons.
Oh, I like deceptions.
He's got Alchemist Ring, he's got Ruin Undying.
That was sneaky.
We even got a cheeky pebble play.
Ugh.
Good thing he's deaf. I'm gonna save the deception for now. Okay, this is fine. This is fine.
That's a great combo.
Make him look like a fool.
Really doesn't get much better than that.
How did he do that? That was pretty insane. Oh, he has the add-on that makes it so you don't have to bounce. That's what it was. That was good. If he would have broken that door open, that would have been smarter. I thought they were gonna bounce, and they didn't bounce, actually. So, if you're not... That was good stuff. We're on the home stretch. We have Tenacity on deck. Tenacity is a perk that lets you crawl while recovering, and crawl 50% faster. You smell that? What? Smells like trash. Oh yeah, that is probably the perk, but it could be me. Tenacity is trash on its own. Sure, you can crawl away fast if the killer slugs you, but again, if you want to use it, you will really need a team to make sure someone is around to distract the killer. Tenacity on its own is a garbage perk. If you run it, be sure to take Unbreakable, Flip-Flop, and Power Struggle. Then you can crawl to a pallet and save yourself, or even wiggle off if the killer tries to greet a hook that is too far away. This perk is still an E-tier perk on its own, but with the right build and teammates, you can have some fun with it. Tenacity on the board, another trash perk. This is not happening. What's not happening? This is not happening. What? The perk, dumbass. What perk? The perk, this is not happening, is the name of it. Wait, what? Let me check my notes. Oh, there is a perk with that name. Looks like this perk changes your skill checks when you are injured. The great skill check zones are increased by 30% in size, making it a bit easier to hit great skill checks. Since you only gain 1% progression on a great skill check, there's little value gained from this perk. I guess that's why you forgot about this perk. Oh, and one other thing, this perk only applies to skill checks for repairing generators, healing, and sabotaging. You still get skill checks for sabotaging? I don't think so, but who knows? This perk is, wait for it, surprise, E-tier. Who could have guessed? Wow, we are already at 7 E-tier perks for today. Hey Bill, guess what? What? Unbreakable is our next perk, and it's your turn. Oh man, the perk to buff all perks, Unbreakable, or as we call it, Unbreakable. This perk increases your recovery speed in the dying state to 35%. It also allows you to pick yourself up off the ground one time during a trial. Now this is a strong perk. It comes in very handy when a killer is slugging. It does. It can pair well with a ton of perks like Decisive Strike, Power Struggle Build, Soul Guard, No Mither, if you're trying to have some fun. Yet this is still strong on its own. This is an S tier perk, no doubt about it. I'm not even saying that because it's my perk. You know what else is fun about this perk? When you are slugged, if you crawl to a pallet and recover to 99%, then when the killer comes to pick you up, just stand up and slam the pallet on him, then do the slow walking away. That always feels good. Maybe not the best move tactically, but it's still fun, and playing DBD is about having fun. Let's get it on the board. Up the ante is up. Up the ante is a luck perk. For each teammate still alive, you get a token, starting with 3 tokens. Each token is worth 3% luck, so you start with 9% extra luck. This perk does stack with other survivors using it, so you can get 27% more luck if your whole team has this perk equipped, and they are still alive. Luck only does 2 things. Right, it only affects the chances of getting out of bear traps against the trapper, and the chance of unhooking yourself. This perk on its own, it has little value. If the whole team runs this perk and you run Slippery Meat and take luck offerings like we talked about earlier, you can get value. However, this perk is going on our board at E tier with its counterpart, Slippery Meat. Agreed. It's fun to do a run with the perks we mentioned and get value from Up the Ante. It's just not something you're going to run all the time. Do try the builds out and have some fun though. Urban Evasion is our last U perk. Ugh, more like it. Running this perk is fine if you're new and the killer still scares you, but at some point, you have to knock off the training wheels and play the other half of this game. Well said. Urban Evasion lets you crouch and still move at walking speed, where normal crouch walking is half walking speed. There's only one thing this perk is good for. Yeah, hiding from the killer. There is nothing worse than being on hook and seeing that one guy crouch walking around the map when the killer is chasing someone else, not even near them.
This perk is an E tier perk. Fine, use it if you're new, but there are way better perks to be taking. Dagnammit, learn to run. This perk is worse than Sprint Burst.
E tier for sure. Let's go.
Vigil is up next. We have talked about this perk already. It comes up a lot with other exhaustion perks. It is also buffed in the next patch.
Exactly. This perk increases your exhaustion recovery by 30%. It also affects your teammates that are within 8 meters. It will now also reduce your exposed and broken timers.
Dang, this perk sounds nice.
It is. Vigil will now reduce a 40-second exhaustion down to 30.8 seconds. Since it stacks if another teammate has it, that reduces it down to 25 seconds. An exposed timer like Haunted Ground goes from 60 seconds down to 46 seconds. And again, it stacks.
So 4 players with Vigil and Head-On altogether can reset their Head-On in just over 18 seconds?
I believe so. The buffed Vigil is going to be very nice for exhaustion perks and the exposed status effects. I rate this buffed Vigil an A tier perk.
Sounds good. Let's move on.
Visionary is up now.
Visionary is an aura perk. The aura of generators are shown to you if you are within 32 meters. Each time a generator is completed, this perk is disabled for 16 seconds.
Sounds useful on the worst map in the game.
Indeed, this perk could come in handy if you plan on playing on RPD, which is for sure the worst map in DBD.
Our trivia episode even featured that question, and RPD was the answer.
Yep, this is a D tier perk. It can be good for new players. You'll get value from it, especially on indoor maps like RPD, Larry's, and Midwich. However, you could just take a map. You can run this perk if you plan on offering a map you are trying to learn, but I don't recommend using the perk after that.
Visionary on the board at D tier.
Wake up!
I am awake.
No, wake up is next.
Oh yeah, I knew that. Wake up is a perk that only comes into play once all the generators are completed. You are shown the auras of the exit gate switches if they are within 128 meters.
Pretty much the whole map.
Also, once you start to open a gate, everyone on your team can see your aura. This lets them know what gate is being opened. You also open gates 15% quicker.
Any perks to run with this?
Well, if you want to maximize gate speed, you can run Resilience and Spine Chill, but a bigger benefit would come from a nearby teammate running Leader. Since this perk is about opening gates, you can run No One Left Behind with it to open the gate and activate No One Left Behind. You will then have super fast healing. This perk is another perk that is down low on the list. It is slightly better than E tier because of the information it provides your team, letting them know what gate you are getting open. So I say D tier.
Yeah, it's close to E tier, especially if you are with a Swift and have comms.
We're almost done. We'll Make It is up next.
I remember when we used to run this perk all the time.
Yes, this is such a good perk.
We'll Make It activates whenever you unhook someone. It increases your healing speed by 100% for the next 90 seconds.
That makes a normal 16-second heal take only 8 seconds. Couple this perk with your team running Resurgence and you'll spend little time healing. You can also use We're Gonna Live Forever and have fast heals off the hook or super fast off the ground.
We'll Make It is good on its own. It needs no other perks. I rank it A tier. You can get good value if the killer is not proxy camping and is busy chasing someone else. So make sure you unhook when you know it is safe.
We'll Make It on the board.
Two left, and the next one is We're Gonna Live Forever.
WGLF is a great perk. It's like the Survivor version of barbecue and chili. You can gain up to 4 tokens by taking a protection hit, saving a survivor from the killer's grasp, or the easiest one, performing a safe unhook. Each token gives you plus 25% blood points in all the categories, up to a max of 100%.
But it does something else.
That's right, it was buffed recently to also give you plus 100% healing speed when healing someone that is in the dying state.
Is it top tier perk though?
Well, maybe not top tier, but it is worth a slot in any build. This perk goes well with Borrowed Time, but it's a perk that it's amazing all on its own. I rate this an A tier perk though.
I would argue S tier if you want to flip for it.
No, this is my perk. I get to decide.
I'm not so sure I know people I could arrange for some technical difficulties and you might just be gone and we'll finish the show without you.
Your threats are empty, Bill.
You want to risk it?
Yeah, it's A tier. It's not as good as Unbreakable, Spine Chill, Dead Hard, etc.
Fine, A tier.
Well, that was rough. Finally, the last perk of our series.
Windows of Opportunity is an aura perk that lets you see the auras of vaults, pallets, and breakable walls that are within 32 meters of yourself.
Sounds like a very good perk for new players.
This perk is great for new players. There are a lot of vault locations that are fairly well hidden on some maps. This perk is also good for veterans of the game. It can tell you from a distance if the pallet you expect to be somewhere is already gone, giving you time to change your plans before running all the way there to find out it has already been used.
Good point.
Windows is good on its own, but you can also pair it with Lice so you can plan out your vault and sprint a little better. I rate this a C tier perk. You will always get value from it if you're a noob or a veteran.
That's the final perk of our series. We finally touched on all 95 survivor perks. Let's get it on the board. Well, Zombie Bill, that was it. Our final perk covering all 95 survivor perks.
What a run. It was grueling and long, but we are finally done. We hope you found some helpful information in these 4 episodes.
I'm looking forward to getting back to the DBD news and comedy. Not sure about you.
Indeed, next week we'll likely be talking about the new survivor and her perks, as well as revealing our guest for the Halloween episode.
Exciting. Let's take one last look at the tier lists from all 4 episodes.
Week 1, we had no S tier perks,
but a massive 8 E tier perks.
And 16 in between.
Week 2, we had 7 S tier perks. One of them didn't belong.
And 5 more E tier perks.
And 12 in between.
Week 3, we had only 1 S tier perk.
And 8 E tier perks.
And 15 in between.
Finally, this week, we had 2 S tier perks.
And 9 E tier perks.
And 12 in between. To summarize our total stats, we had 10, but really 9 S tier perks. Come on, Left Behind is not S tier, Bill. You tricked me.
Sure, blame your mistakes on an old senile man.
We also had 30 E tier perks. That's a lot of useless perks.
That leaves us with 55 perks in between. Remember though, just because a perk is E tier does not mean it's not viable or isn't fun to use.
Give them all a try.
Let us know your favorite builds in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and like so you can check out more of our shows.
That's it for this week. Thanks for joining us during this educational journey. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everyone. Until next week, I'm your host, Zombie Bill Overbeck.
And I'm Rupture.
Signing off until next time.